Howdy, howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Luke's Homebrew. Today we are going to talk about warlocks and why I think they are both the potentially most powerful class in D&D and also potentially the least powerful class. So hopefully this interests you. Today we're just going to break it apart, and then at the end I'm going to introduce my variants and changes to perhaps make Warlock more utilitarian the average campaign where it's a mixed party. So let's get right into it. So I'm looking right now, and you can see that I have the Warlock table pulled up on D&D Beyond. I'm not sponsored, but I wanted to talk about why I think that this class is both. Personally, it's my favorite class, but it's only my favorite because of because the feel that it gives the players of like the intimate connection to the DM and like specific NPCs in the world that you can't get from a cleric, because a cleric worships a god and that god isn't going to show up every now and then. A wizard might have a wizard, they might be an apprentice per se, but it's not that same dynamic, and I really like that dynamic in D&D because it really helps develop the world, both as a dungeon master and as a player. So that's why I like the Warlock, but my problem with it is that, let's be honest, it can't stay in toe-to-toe with a wizard or a cleric or hell, even a druid. And I think that's a significant problem, especially if you're in a group where you have one of those players at the table. Maybe you have another cleric at the table, because you probably do. Maybe you have another wizard who is the main spellcaster, and then you're kind of just like off in the sidelines casting cantrips. And lastly, like, come on, like, you get 2 spell slots for about 50% of the game, and then you're just completely screwed over, whereas the wizard's over there casting and slinging spells and you're stuck with Eldritch Blast. Even though Eldritch Blast mechanically is the best cantrip in the whole game, it still doesn't stand toe-to-toe with spells with actual levels, no matter what invocations you pick. So those are my main problems with the class. And I think really it all comes down to the cool mechanic to get your spell slots back at a short rest rather than a long rest. Because mathematically, yes, a warlock could theoretically cast more spells in a single day than a wizard. But the problem is you have to take a short rest. And when you have a party of 4 or 5, sometimes 8 people, and you all are different classes, and then you're trying to decide, okay, we're in the dungeon. Should we take a short rest so I can get my spell slots back, or should we just take a long rest? I mean, like, we can barricade the doors, take watches. If the DM throws a random encounter at us, half of us will be up and we can wake up the rest. But as a dungeon master, you're thinking, oh, that's just going to slow down play. So, well, shit, long rest is almost equivalent to a short rest. Because, like, yes, you'd love to break up their long rest, but if you throw a random encounter in there, then they're just going to restart the long rest, and then it just continues. And so as a dungeon master, you're trying to develop your campaign world and push the story along, it sometimes bogs down play to even have those random encounters during a long rest. So a long rest in-game, or not in-game, but like out of game with all the players around the table, takes the same amount of time as a short rest, except you're getting more and all the players are getting the same stuff, which completely makes the wizard or cleric, whatever fullcaster you have, so much more powerful than the warlock. And the warlock's just left behind to kind of just be there. They're not contributing as much to the party as everyone else, and they feel left out. Maybe they start multi-classing, or maybe they just are done with it and fed up and want to play a different class. So there's 2 solutions to this that I've found. One is, and it's better for smaller parties, is for if you're going to play a warlock, communicate with the rest of your team, like teammates, your other players, and see what classes they're playing. Because if they're playing a monk, if they're playing a fighter, any other short rest based class, the warlock is going to shine, and you're probably going to outshine a wizard, or at least stand toe to toe. But if you're playing a bigger group and obviously there's a lot of long rest based classes besides just the warlock, fighter, and monk, then you're kind of getting a little screwed. So what I did is I actually made myself a warlock variant, pull it up over here. And what this does is instead of making it so warlocks get their spell slots back on short rests, now it's long rests. And they follow the same spell slot progression as any other full caster, such as cleric, wizard, druid, etc. And all the way up until 10th level. And at 10th level, when they have the 2 5th level spell slots, that's when they stop progressing. So they don't get any more spell slots, so they don't get 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th, because they're going to get that from Eldritch Invocation, or the Mystic Arcanum, or whatever that ability is. So we stop it right there. So they have the normal progression as any other full caster, and they get all the spell slots, so that way they can stand toe-to-toe, and now they're a long rest-based class. So that way they can stay up and on par with any other full caster. So 8-hour long rest, and real life that it's the same snap of the fingers as a short rest, but now you're getting the same benefits as any other character in the class. So that was my first change. But then also, obviously, since warlocks get invocations plus the same spell slot progression, plus theoretically the best cantrip in the game, was a little OP, so I toned down the invocations just a little bit and pretty much just pushed them back a couple levels and slowed your progression. And that's all I did. So you can see in this chart, and this chart will be up. I think I'm going to share the Google Doc link because I haven't made it pretty yet, and I don't want to put it up on DM's Guild just yet. So this is just for you guys to take in. It's free. Do with it as you will. But I figured it would be useful for y'all, as I know Warlock is personally my favorite class, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other people's favorite class, or up there. But the problem is the mechanics don't support the kind of character that you're trying to build. So I hope this is helpful. It's simple as bare bones as that. That was just my small changes to Warlock. I wish that Warlock was better, and I don't think you can really make it better without like doing this, or maybe trying to convince the rest of the party to be fighters or monks to really make you be able to shine, because at the end of the day, you're not going to compare to a wizard. Like, a wizard's always going to outshine you, but a wizard doesn't have that cool roleplay dynamic. It doesn't help develop the world as much. Not saying it doesn't, but it doesn't help as much as a warlock does, when maybe you're a fiend pact warlock and you have this connection to Asmodeus or so-and-so. So that's it. Pretty short video, under 10 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. These are just small update videos, and as I'm homebrewing, figuring stuff out, I really want to share it with you guys. That way the information gets out, and then hopefully it at least inspires you, or gives you ideas for something else, or, you know, I'm just trying to help out. But otherwise, have a good one. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.